All right. Let's start the podcast.
Welcome.
Oh, my neck locked up. Okay.
What else is going to happen?
What else is going to go wrong?
Let's not test the universe.
Well, I mean, we've already had 2 computer crashes, and Jake had to change setups. Like, let's see if we can get through this episode. Let's go. Welcome to We Might Be Nerds, a podcast about everything from entertainment and technology to science and history. I'm your host, Dylan Critchfield.
And I'm Sarah Critchfield.
And I'm Jacob Montgomery.
Kyle's unfortunately not able to join us right this second, but he might show up later in the show, so we'll see. Maybe, maybe not. In the meantime, it's been a crazy couple of weeks since our last recording. America got buried in snow. There's been a lot of weird internet going-ons. NASA landed another rover on Mars. It's been a fun time. Fun, in quotes. So, what we got today, guys?
What do we got today? I will start off with, let's see, it's some history and science. And
Those seem to be your strong suits.
yeah, well, when I'm just going down internet rabbit holes, that's usually what I click on. So,
Yeah, gotcha.
maybe I should just do this for this whole record. Because my story...
Oh God, Jake's turned his camera upside
right,
down.
yeah. That's really good for a podcast to do visual stuff like that.
For those at home, he flipped his camera all the way over.
Right.
And was on the ceiling like a bat.
I'm a bat.
Are we learning about bats?
We're not learning about bats.
The history of bats.
We're learning about
Darn!
changing perspectives. Ooh.
Ooh.
But literally
Ooh.
turning your vision upside down. Because have you heard about this thing where, and there's this one study I was reading about in 1950, there was an Austrian professor who, with the help of a research aide, figured out that if you invert your vision after like about a week and a half, you'll just see everything normally again. So he had set up these special goggles, and like with a system of like prisms and mirrors, like everything that was up was down and down was up.
Oh, jeez.
I know. I feel like I would get super
Topsy-turvy.
sick, yeah. And
Motion
like
sickness, like hell. Yeah.
Just disoriented right away.
Yeah. I just like, no,
Dizzy just thinking about
get
that.
this thing off my head. So yeah, the professor's name was Theodor Arisman of the University of Innsbruck, Austria. And he set up the experiment with his assistant and student, Ivo Kohler. I'm sure I'm getting all these names wrong, but that's okay.
Pronunciation's not our strong suit.
No. Yeah, I said the goggles had mirrors in them that flipped the light coming to his eyes, so obviously what he saw was reversed.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's actually a video, and I'll send it to you so we can have it in the show notes, of like the guy like being handed like a teacup, and you see him with like this crazy thing on his head. It kind of looks like a Viewmaster just like taped to his head, basically. It's like this black and white grain video.
Click.
And like one of the experiments is like a guy, like they both have like, ooh crap, I just knocked my mic.
Are your glasses upside down?
Oh, yes, they are. I need new ones. No, yeah, like the guy with the glasses is like almost like fencing with another person with 2 pieces of wood, and like every time the guy like, and he's going really slow, like he'll go up, and the guy will just instinctively like go down, even though he means to go up. And they hand him like a teacup. And the guy starts pouring water, and the guy, like, you see him, and he just turns the cup upside down because he thinks, like, the water's going the other way. It's very weird. Because he's not looking at the cup, he's just like looking at the water, so...
Yeah.
I can't imagine how much that would mess up your your vision.
The question I have to ask is this related to the research that like led to the discovery that the images that actually hit the back of our eyeballs are technically inverted, but our brain autocorrects it to look up right side up? Is this part of that research, or was that an earlier thing?
I mean, I think it was like a research that was kind of with that, like trying to figure out how the eye and the human brain process like light and images.
And optics, yeah.
Yeah, but they even did another experiment later where instead of up and down, they just did like a mirror image. So left was right and right was left.
And that worked as well? The eyes autocorrected for it? Or the brain?
Yeah, after 10 days. Yeah, like about, which is like, I don't know. There wasn't like a ton of like research on this because I'm guessing it's hard to get people that are willing to wear a thing on their head and like potentially mess up your vision.
Yeah.
But yeah, like wear a thing on your head for like 2 weeks. But yeah, and then they say if you take it off again, then obviously everything's upside down to you once your vision gets used to turning everything.
Oh,
that's a nope for me, dog.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that's crazy.
The thought of it is just... Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but yeah, like the last thing I was going to say about like when he first puts it on, you see like a kid hold out a balloon to him, and the kid lets it out, and the guy dives to the ground, just like, because it looks like it's going towards the ground, so...
Oh,
I know.
Poor dude, no.
I know, but they're saying like, yeah, eventually he was able to like walk in crowds, and it was pretty normal except for everybody looking at this weird thing, apparatus on his face.
Like, oh no, are these eye lasers?
Yeah, and he was able to like ride a bike, and they said like with the inverse, like the mirror image glasses, he was able to ride a motorcycle through this Austrian town.
No,
because if the glasses come off, that's insta-wreck. No.
Yeah, because like, what if the glasses fly off and then your vision's like, oh no.
No.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it's different than like if my glasses come off, it's like I just can't read the street signs. But yeah, this guy's like left is right, right is left.
Left is right and right is left. That whole thing is just the thought of having my vision inverted and then getting adjusted to it and then removing those glasses and not being able to do anything about it until my vision just goes back on its own. It's very unsettling, and the mental imagery of seeing things in reverse and how it could mess with your what's the system
like
that
your muscle
determines balance and stuff?
Equilibrium?
Yeah, like how it messes with your equilibrium. There's a certain gland that, associated, I can't remember the name of. But like how that has to mess with your equilibrium, your sense of spatial awareness, that's unsettling.
Were there any practical applications of this research, or was it just to figure out how it works?
Like the thing that they were saying, like they wanted to try it out because like potentially like people being upside down for long periods of time, like in space, they were seeing if that would. So I'm guess like if the same thing, like if you're in a space shuttle and you were hanging upside down and you knew everything was supposed to be the other way, eventually your eyes, but it has to be like a persistent thing. Like the guy couldn't just take the glasses off and on. He had to like wear them
nonstop,
24/7 for a week and a half.
No, thank you.
No.
Yeah, and that part's bad enough, but then it's the other way. Like taking them off and then waiting for your eyes to get back to normal. Like, oh my god, I would just go crazy.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely lose it. And no. Just everything about that is a big ol' no. Hey, look who's here. Look who joined us.
I'm
Welcome,
back
Kyle.
again. Hello. All right, question
Welcome,
about
Kyle.
that one. Was it upside down? Or was it... So he was living in the upside down. That's great. Wow.
Ooh.
Right,
nice.
yes.
Ooh.
Nice.
In 1950s Austria.
Excellent. Wow.
That tracks.
That tracks, yeah.
So this was mostly... It sounds like it was mostly research then for prepping for like space program type stuff.
Right, yeah, like seeing what like effect having inverted... Yeah, obviously not the mirrored image one, but the inverted...
I think the mirrored image one would mess me
inverted
up more.
Yeah.
Because I'm already directionally impaired.
You're like, oh, wait.
So it's left, right,
just
oh no.
It kind of like makes you step, I don't know, when you're reading it, you just kind of think like, gosh, everything, if you don't think about it, you're just like, oh, everything I'm seeing is what's there.
Yeah.
But no, everything you're seeing is just what your brain is interpreting and working with your eyes, together. And just, that whole thing. If you think about it too much.
It's a head trip.
It's kind of a disassociative, yeah.
Yeah, I read something earlier this week, though, that's kind of along the lines of what you're talking about with interpretation. Like, we as humans, we can learn to ride a bike. Science still isn't sure how that works altogether, apparently. Like, the basics are known, but apparently the entire situation of how riding a bike works isn't fully known still. But, like, when you're learning to ride a bike, it feels unnatural. It's something you have to put actual thought into. But once you get used to riding a bike, then it just becomes a natural extension, something that feels natural to do. I have to imagine the brain is incredibly adaptive in ways that we haven't even tapped yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because now it's only, because a lot of the articles on this were, behind, you had to have, a subscription to, some journal.
They were paywalled, yeah.
I'm not... Right. And so... Yeah, and like I said, there wasn't a ton out there, but it seemed like what they knew was how the eye works and how that translates images to the brain, but they didn't really know how the brain knew to switch everything upside down, other than just it adapts. So
I have to guess how the brain fills in pitches. If you tap something rhythmically, your brain can automatically fill in tones based on a known rhythm. How the brain is very good at filling in gaps. I have to imagine that and the autocorrection of flipped vision is related. From inside the brain, it's the same thing that allows those two things to happen.
Right, yeah, filling in, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my quick little thing at the top. Now I'm going to put my camera upside down again.
Yes.
No.
Entertain all the viewers, yes.
All right, let me flip my glasses over too. All right.
All these viewers.
We're all good.
Wait, that's how that works.
Yes.
Let me put my head on upside
down.
down.
My laptop upside down.
So,
yes.
What I'm hearing is, because we're an audio medium, I should just invert the audio from here on out. Eventually they'll hear it right way forward.
Yeah, tell me what this means.
Right.
Yep.
I wonder if that's anything, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to listen to that kind of noise for who knows how long you have to listen
this
to something
is
backwards.
Kyle with ASMR.
The loudest ASMR ever.
Versamar. RMSA.
God,
RMSA, yes.
He's just reading the weather from 2 weeks ago. This is so boring.
ASMR SOS.
Actually, Jake, speaking of weather,
LOL.
I did want to kind of bring something up. Like we mentioned at the top, the past couple weeks have been crazy. Snowstorms over this past week, especially impacting Texas. A lot of Texans without power, or water, and a lot of stuff like that. Things are bad, but the lack of power specifically, power being needed for heat and cooking, because, in the society we have today, we rely on electricity for a lot of things, reminded me of something I saw online that I had looked up just to see if it was a thing, because we had gone camping. I don't know if you guys know this, but there are USB solar panels. USB solar panels are just a thing for charging your devices.
Ooh.
You can strap them over a backpack. You can, they can charge a battery bank or charge devices directly. So remembering that, I looked those up again, just to see some of them, yes, are water resistant or weather resistant. The ports are within a little pouch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, what kind of, what other problems that are going on right now down there could be solved in tandem with a device like this? And just weird USB peripherals. You can get USB hot plates now that are ostensibly for warming your coffee, right? But
oh really?
Yeah. Like, we have a little hot plate here that's for, like, mug warming, but we use it for candles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like almost the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but my line of thought was, do those get warm enough to be able to, like, actually cook something? I know USB fans are a thing for, like, if you had a power outage in summer and you needed airflow, you can easily get fans. I have a whole, like, there's a top sellers category for USB fans on Amazon.
No, yeah, I've seen those where people will plug like a fan to the bottom of their phone.
Yeah.
In the port, and yeah. Huh.
Yeah, apparently, in more sketchy USB peripherals, there's also USB kettles.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw the line right there. So
Electric water. Yes.
That's got to get to a certain point to boil water, and I don't think it should handle that.
I don't know. Is there like enough wattage going through the wire for that?
Well, here's the thing: you can do you can transform in device, because USB power delivery, for most things, it's 5 volts, but most devices only put out 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 amps over USB. A lot of fast chargers go to 3.2 amps, but it's still 5 volts, so you're looking at about 15 watts. But you can transform that voltage, or transform to get higher current or higher voltage to drive a heating element. It's just going to be a very focused space of heat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, rice cookers work from like a 2-inch wide little disc. It's actually magnetic heating in rice cookers, so
I wonder if those hot plates would be hot enough if you were to, like, pop the top on a soup can and just set the can on the hot plate, if it could warm that soup enough to eat.
That's exactly what my line of logic was in looking up to see, hey, is this a thing?
It might take a little
while. Nobody
while.
likes cold soup.
Nobody likes cold soup, but, like, if
except
you
for that
can
crazy
heat it up
gazpacho stuff. No thanks.
enough.
Yeah.
Not my jam.
No.
Yeah, it's not your soup.
It is not my soup.
That's not my soup.
That is not my
That's
soup.
not my soup.
But I guess the main takeaway here is there's a bunch of USB peripherals that I didn't know existed, and you can just, like, get USB solar panels. So, like, at the very least, in an emergency situation, being able to keep your phone charged, being able to connect to a network and have communications is kind of critical. So, like, if you could find yourself without power for days on end and, you know, need to still have a connection to the outside world, USB solar panels are a thing. And you can just get them.
Does this sound like something that should eventually be incorporated into an emergency kit? Just having one.
Absolutely. I mean,
granted, you'd have to be in an area that gets an ample amount of sunlight. Not every area is ideal for that.
Like, you should use these in tandem with a battery bank. I can go on Amazon right now, and let's just look. Amazon.com.
But you should shop local.
Bank. You should shop
local.
But, like, yeah, the first
Shocking.
You can get a
solar panel dealer.
Yeah.
And your USB kettles.
So you can get just $33 on Amazon from Anchor, which is a reputable battery, power brand, a 20,000 milliamp hour power bank for $33. For context, my laptop's battery is only 5,000 milliamp hours. So, like, most laptop batteries top out at around 7,000 milliamp hours for 4 hours of battery life. Most phones, they're 3,000, 4,000 milliamp hours to get for a full charge. So 20,000, that's enough to charge my phone 5 times over. So the ideal solution for an emergency kit, to answer your question, Sarah, would be one of these solar panels in tandem with a power bank or two, because they're very readily available and you can use them for a multitude of devices. Like, honestly, this battery plus that hot plate, like, if it gets hot enough, because I'm not sure, if it gets hot enough to cook, I mean, I can see that actually being pretty viable in a pinch. Like, obviously, like, something like a propane stove or a wood fire, like, just cooking over a fire is going to serve you better. But if you live in an urban environment where you don't just have a fire pit and firewood. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, and trying to do propane or fire inside has a lot of safety concerns with off-gassing. Yeah. So this could be a safer alternative for that.
I mean, you could have a fireplace and not have access to firewood, and then you're burning God knows what just to get heat, you know. But like,
don't burn your books unless you absolutely have to. Books are good.
You can cook a lot of things over a tea lighter candle if you set it up right. It's like, especially like cans of soup and things. I don't know.
Yeah, just don't cook your books.
Don't cook your
books. Don't cook your books.
Don't cook your books.
In the literal or financial sense.
Both are bad ideas.
Both are bad. One has more jail time associated with it.
Welcome to We Might Be Nerds, where we give you life tips and what not to do.
Right. Well, it depends if you're charged for arson or not, you know.
Goodness,
man, I'm trying to think though. Like, I think like the ideal like setup for this would be like a solar panel hooked up to a like weather radio that has a power bank in it that it runs off of, but also has like ports for charging.
Like, I'm sure a USB weather radio is a thing. Like, because like I know my phone and a lot of phones, if you just plug something into the headphone jack, they act as an FM radio. USB weather radio.
Yeah, I would say you would probably want to make sure that thing is of good quality, considering it's packing all those things in one. Those can easily be, you know, like one-offed as like, you know, a cheap thing you can just throw in an emergency kit, and it might or might not be good quality. So.
Oh yeah, I just like ideally if it was
I completely agree. I think that would be a good idea if it's good quality.
One I just found that is a crank weather AM/FM radio. SOS it has a flashlight built in. It also acts as a charger, but that's like a hand crank type situation versus like.
But how loud does it get? Can you crank it up?
Oh, pretty literally.
Gosh.
I have to imagine, like, there's a USB, you can find, like, a USB powered, or, like, a, something with a built-in battery that is charged via USB radio to fill that particular niche.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of specialized, but.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. And, like, I can imagine just a battery bank, a solar panel, and like some fans would actually be great for summer camping because you need a cool down tent if people overheat. That's valuable to have.
Yeah,
I mean the hot plate. USB is not going to provide enough power to give you an ample amount of heat in a cold weather situation. Let's just say that outright. It doesn't deliver enough.
Apply directly to the forehead.
No, don't do that. Like, Kyle, with more bad advice.
No. You do the coffee warmer one. Not the 2-inch disc, the coffee warmer.
That still gets hot enough to
wrap
it in a blanket. Or not a blanket, like a washcloth.
I'm sure that would still be a fire hazard.
That's a fire hazard, man.
Again, I don't
listen
know
to me.
How hot these fire. Hold on, let me see if it states like a temperature on these, because there are multiple of these USB coffee warmers. How hot does the surface get?
I guarantee you a hot pack gets hotter than body temperature.
Hold on, let's get one with actual like reviews and stuff. Okay, here's a USB one with reviews. I mean, near boiling, keeps coffee, tea, or other hot drinks to 80 degrees Celsius.
Oh.
So, I mean, like, if you're...
Okay. Don't do it, folks.
I mean, honestly, for a lot of soups, it doesn't get to boiling, but that's probably suitable for some soups.
Well, 80 degrees Celsius is 176 Fahrenheit, and food is safe to eat. Most foods, 165 Fahrenheit. For that's food like safety. So, says. Yeah, I guess you could cook a small portion of something on one of these USB hot plates.
Yep, move over, chicken slapping. We got USB hot plates now.
Well, here's another thing. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen pictures from the situation in Texas, but I've seen things like a lot of people are holed up in vehicles. A 170 degree surface would actually probably do pretty good to like be a little bit of a heat source inside like, you know, your average car. Like, it's not great, but it's a little bit of extra warmth, and if you insulate, that could over time be something. It's better than nothing, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I've used ours and warmed my hands over the melted candle. It does get pretty warm, so it could be something.
Now, do we use the radiant heat from that, or do we provide a fan as well?
I'd say that's more of a radiant heat situation for sure.
Oh,
I mean, you could try to pass a fan over. I don't know.
Stick it in a cooler.
At that point,
put a fan on it.
At that point, you're using so much power. At that point,
just plug in a second hot plate.
Yeah, just plug in a bunch of hot plates.
Well, hold on. Let's assume real quick we have a 20,000 milliamp hour battery. At 10 watts, which is it's pulling 2 amps. So yeah, 2 amps. It's only going to output 5 volts, so we don't have to worry about voltage. It's just, I mean, that hot plate could run for 10 hours if it's the only thing on a full battery.
Yeah, does the solar... What is the collection rate on the solar panel?
These solar panels, they range from 21 to 28 watt from what I've seen. Like,
but I mean, how long would it take to charge one of these power banks that you're talking about?
Assuming it's probably the same amount of time as you could get on that hot plate, honestly, 10 hours. But you can charge multiple things, because you're only going to be able to put 10 watts into any one device at one time, because of the 5 volt restriction, especially if you're charging at 2 amps per port. But you could charge 2 of these power banks in that time, assuming you have direct sunlight. That's the max rating.
Yeah, which that's probably the problem right now in winter weather, but still, yeah, if we're getting any kind of sun,
if you're getting any sun,
better than nothing.
Yeah, that's why the bank is critical, so you can collect sunlight while it's out, and then you run off the banks. But yeah, I definitely think these solar panels and some of these accessories should probably be a part of your emergency kits moving forward, given how much we rely on cellular networking and cell phones and battery powered devices.
Power in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, obviously in an ideal situation, like you live somewhere where you have access to some sort of fuel, like be it propane or firewood, and you can cook over a fire for warmth and whatnot. But in the absence of those options, these provide at least something.
Right.
Just thought it was neat. I might dive deeper down the rabbit hole of oddball USB devices in a future episode, because...
Were there any notable, interesting ones?
No, I was going to bring up one, but yeah, I don't know if you want to save it.
No, bring it up. We're on the topic, man.
I like like those, you've seen like the single can fridges that are USB powered?
Oh my god.
No!
So it's like a fridge that sits on your desk, but it only holds like 1 can of soda.
Hold on, no, I need a link. You can't just say something like that and not give me a link.
Hold on.
I know there's like 1,000 types of lights, like USB lights and stuff.
Yeah. I get that, but 1 can?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there an outlet nearby?
Yeah. How long does that can have to sit there to get cool for you to drink it and then put another one in and have to wait? Like, if you're trying to moderate yourself and you're very particular about your beverage temperature, that's one way to regulate it, but for those of us without moderation, that's just too slow, not efficient.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to refrigeration, I found it's thermoelectric, so it's not using conventional like in a traditional refrigerator acts like air conditioning unit, where it's using
like a conductive.
It's using a compressed refrigerant. It's basically abusing the boiling point of a gas liquid to super cool the details are escaping me at the moment. But basically, it sucks heat out of the air on the cold side and pushes it out on the hot side. Refrigerators work by the same principle, but this is thermoelectric, which is doing that via electricity. But man, if you can do that on USB, that's actually kind of neat.
I know, it just seems so ridiculous.
If you figured out how to do that, there has to be better things than that out there. I mean, that seems like the technology is just so niche.
It is, and I actually found a top awesomely weird USB gadgets. This is from Laptop Mag. This one's gonna kind of throw you guys for a loop. Mini USB washing machines. Washing your gadgets and wires has never been easier than with this USB-powered washing machine. With a powerful motor and a fitted lid, it's the perfect place to get rid of dirt and germs from small office gadgets, watches, keys, or other possessions. With this accessory, you can wash your items for a full 10 minutes before you'll need to start the next cycle.
Wait, it's washing your electronics?
I guess it's for like waterproof washes and stuff.
I was going to say, am I washing one sock at a time? Is that what's going on here?
That's about the size of it.
It's a sock machine.
Among other ones are a necktie with like a little fan in it. Like you run the wire down this high surface to a power source, which is neat. There's a USB aroma leaf, which is like, one of those wall scent things, except on a USB port.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I guess. Why not?
Here's one for you. Tongs USB Type-C endoscopic camera.
Ooh, where's that going?
Nope. That's not a everybody product. No. Leave that one to the professionals.
No, it's for like seeing things behind your desk or like hard to reach places. It does say, or perhaps
like a digestive system in the upper GI tract.
The description, the first line of the description on this article is, maybe it's difficult to see the outlets behind your desk, or perhaps you're moonlighting as an unlicensed physician, which we don't recommend.
No.
Just because it starts with end doesn't mean that's where it goes.
Yeah. Here's a good one. There's a compact paper shredder and letter opener. USB
That's actually
power.
kind of cool.
Neat.
In things that I might actually utilize, there is a programmable mouse jiggler, which is to keep your screen active. It detects it as a USB mouse that jiggles the cursor every once in a while to keep your screen from going to sleep.
I have seen that one before. That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's actually the USB coffee warmers are on this list, so I'm not weird and thinking it's weird, apparently. There's a dancing Groot.
I mean, that's required. We need to order like 6 of them.
I think my favorite thing on this list, which I have to put in the show notes, is a USB vacuum.
Oh,
that
is
one
it like really
sounds
small?
like it sucks.
Wop, 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 wop.
I wish I had a sense of scale for this. Hold on, let me.
It's just for your keyboard to get the dust from between your keys. It's that small.
It's literally called Westminster World's Smallest Vacuum. They have it on Walmart.
World's smallest vacuum.
Specifications. How big is this? It is 2 by 5 by 7 inches. So it's like... It's like my phone's bigger than that.
What are you trying to pick up? I guess dust.
It's Jiminy Cricket's vacuum.
Is there a USB powered wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube, man?
If not, there should be.
Yeah, I don't know, because the one I have runs off of 9 volts.
So close.
I have a USB humidifier. That's pretty neat.
It's actually pretty neat.
Like, it just sits... It actually is like a bottle cap, and it sits on a water bottle.
Oh, so, yes, I've seen those. Those are cool. I like those.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, the tube men are not USB powered.
Boo! Only 4 volts off.
Because, well, the the voltage required for those kinds of fans, those are usually 12-volt fans. Like I would use in my 3D printer. Those are typically 12-volt fans.
To get tiny little thing. I mean, it could be just like he'd be as skinny as my finger.
It's a mini man.
Yeah.
Mini tube man.
Waving really, really fast because he's so, the fabric's not all that.
I tell you what, Kyle.
Let's make one.
If you can get the materials to make a tube man that is finger-sized, I will find a fan that can run it on USB power, and we will build it.
Let's do this. We're going to make that list.
What are we going to name it?
We're going to call it Tiny Tube.
Tiny Tube.
No.
Okay.
No, that's a bad idea.
That's not good.
Don't Google that.
Don't Google that.
It's a mini man.
Don't
Google that either. God. Everything's
this
wrong.
This is a bad idea.
One other USB thing I can think off the top of my head, and I've seen it on, I think, a TV show. It's like a little missile launcher that shoots like little Nerf darts. There's actually like a little app that comes with it where you can actually rotate it and then shoot. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Neat.
I love that.
Neat.
Nerf.
It's Nerf for nothing.
Narf.
Oh, wait. Now we're in copyright infringement territory.
Narf.
There is a USB hamster wheel?
Is the hamster
required? Does it gather power from the hamster? Or is it helping the hamster? Is it for like geriatric hamsters?
Oh my god.
Or bariatric hamsters?
Yeah, like a stair lift for the hamster.
It spins and it has a fake stuffed hamster sitting in it.
It's a ghost hamster! Yay! I love it.
I don't know if that's more disturbing than harvesting electricity from your hamster.
No, wait. How fast does the hamster wheel go? Because I could just imagine it's just spinning as fast as the wheel by that.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, your resistor conks out and the motor just ramps up.
Oh, God.
I use that to power my wacky waving guy.
Helicopter.
I guess the purpose of this is for if you can't keep a real hamster and have it survive, you have this instead, so you can just watch it run on the wheel.
And it has to be powered by USB, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I'm sure they have like USB, like fake fish tanks.
Actually, that's on here. Mini USB aquarium.
Oh my gosh!
It has a little dory and shoot. What's the main fish's name?
Marlin.
Marlin. Thank you.
I mean, I can respect people owning up to the fact that they shouldn't have pets and getting alternatives.
Getting a USB.
I mean, it's better than killing real pets because of whatever reason.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Think Geek has a USB pet rock.
Yes, I need a pet rock. No.
I like my wireless
just saw my
one.
face
Thank
on
you very
that.
much.
Damn it. That's so good. Mini aquarium.
Back in my days, we didn't need power for our pet rocks.
They were powered by our imagination.
It did its business all on its own.
Apparently there are USB oil burners.
Ooh.
Like for like fragrances.
All of those.
Like
I guess it's kind of like the leaf thing.
Yeah, I guess that's that.
The diffuser.
Yeah.
This one's bigger. There's a USB powered multicolored disco ball. Oh yes.
That's fancy.
For your
I hear that one's all the
lonely
rave
parties.
Yeah, I've got a second list here from PC Mag UK, so I'll have that in the show notes thanks to this.
So is this just the episode about USB power?
I guess.
Who is all this for?
Someone with a lot of USB ports.
Let me go hide all those things I bought.
I want to see someone hook all of these things to their computer at like one time, like have like hub upon hub, and then just have like
just
all these...
daisy chain the outlets that have the USB ports.
You would have to have a separate
Don't do it.
like USB root port for each one because each port's only rated for the 5-volt 2 or 2 to 3 amps.
All right, I'll get one of those one of those power tab things that are just USB ports.
I've had a couple of those. Those are actually great.
With just
we have
these
ones that are built into a power
knickknacks.
strip. Yes. I have to imagine that these came up just because people were like, well, I can charge my phone via USB. Shouldn't a USB this exist or a USB that exist? And people saw, like, people were searching for it, so they made it a thing. I have to imagine that's how half these things came into existence.
Or they were born upon Wish.com.
AliExpress.
Yes.
Yeah, the amount of questionable electronics you can find on AliExpress is... That's a discussion for another day, for real.
These will give you a virus if you plug it into your computer.
AliExpress is great for electronic components individually, not full devices. If you're building something and you need parts, it's fine. Beyond that, no.
So I shouldn't trust
I did get a 3D
snowboard
printer from them, so fair. It still works.
Is it USB powered?
If it's not, it should be.
It is now.
It is now.
Well, that probably is a thing.
It would
Powered
be
by your imagination.
I mean, the 3D printing pens are USB powered, so technically, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, let's go ahead and end that tangent real quick. Oh, jeez.
Tangent. Is there a USB protractor?
No.
I thought it was dead.
Tangent, the alternate universe Target department store.
Yes.
It's just like a circle with like a line right there.
It's a sector, or... Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sector.
Welcome to Tangent.
We have everything you want. And things you didn't know you wanted till you walked inside. Give us all your money. You can have 5 things.
Yes, they just ask you straight up, give me your money. We are a store. We will provide you goods and services for money.
Some of them might be bads, not goods.
Yeah. And other inscrutable internet things other than random USB devices. Actually, it's probably been around a lot of the news sites that Bitcoin hit $50,000 per coin in value. And there's been a lot of things about people promoting other cryptocurrencies, and it did kind of bring to mind, I think we should probably go over like how cryptocurrency works, because I feel like not a lot of people have a good grasp on like how it even functions. How do you get money from a thing that only exists as electricity inside computers?
It's hard to understand. We get it.
Yeah. It's I'm not an expert on any of this. I don't claim to be, but let's just say I had the chance to get into Bitcoin very early on, passed it up, and regretted it. So basically how cryptocurrency works is you may have heard about in some tech seminar about blockchain. So blockchain is the foundational basis for all cryptocurrency. Does anybody in this room know what the heck blockchain actually does, or have any idea of what it is?
Exactly, no. I just know it has something to do with tracking where something gets moved.
So in the simplest terms I can think of, when you get a checkbook, you get a ledger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So blockchain is essentially a public ledger that everybody can see, and all the transactions on it are dependent on the transactions before it. Basically, because if you add a new transaction, that all the history before it has to ensure that this new transaction that's happening is possible. That is the foundational basis of the blockchain, is that it is a public ledger. But in cryptocurrency and crypto wallets, you don't have like usernames and stuff. You have wallet IDs, addresses, very similar to IP addresses or just a phone number. But there's no caller ID for that, unless you're exchanging numbers with someone else to conduct a transaction, kind of like we used to you would trade your phone number with someone for a phone call. So the basics of how a transaction works for something like Bitcoin is you get a new transaction. The transaction is then transmitted to the whole network of peer-to-peer computers scattered across the world. The network solves equations to confirm that that transaction is valid within the context of the current state of the ledger or blockchain. Once transactions are confirmed to be legitimate, they're clustered together into blocks and then added on to the chain. Once that block is added to the chain, the transaction is completed. But how does that translate to value? Well, how does anything translate to value? The fact of the matter is...
because somebody wanted it to.
Supply and demand.
That's exactly it.
Right.
With Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, the basics of how coins are, quote, minted is a network of computers solving increasingly complex mathematical equations. And if your node, be it your computer or more commonly application-specific integrated circuits that are linked to a wallet, if your node gets the solve for the current problem, you are credited for the portion of work you did for that coin. And then that coin is minted, and that coin always exists. However, fractional coins can and do exist, and those can be owned. But the value comes from that coin is cryptographically solid, and because the blockchain says this coin exists, it can only be owned by any one entity at one time. And the security that comes with the public transactions, and that it is mathematically sound and proofed, is what gives Bitcoin value. Also, but more simply, because people think it's got value. That's the simplest way I can describe it. So
yeah, and from what I've read, it's not it's like security and people's confidence that they can see this public ledger, since they're confident that there's nothing weird going on in the background. It does give that value.
And the other thing is, not just Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies are largely open source. So, and when you have an army of nodes being a part of the network, it's hard for somebody to come in and mess things up. Because the ledger is solid and you can confirm if a transaction is valid or not just by looking back on the ledger. I can't just come onto the network, create a wallet, and start spending coin I don't have, because the network as a whole can see the public ledger and know that I don't have anything to spend or to trade with.
Right.
And the entire, its strength in numbers is the key security feature of any of these crypto networks. Is you can try to mess with it, but all the other nodes are going to say, no, we don't recognize that as valid. Get out of here. So it is security hardened, and there's not been a breach of that chain of trust that gives Bitcoin value that I have seen over the past decade. So, and there are other currencies that are worth different values, and they do things differently. They have different focuses. Bitcoin's purpose is just to be a digital currency that has scarcity and a defined number of coins that can exist built in because of mathematics. There are other coins that exist to facilitate things like decentralized finance, and those are focused on providing a decentralized but verifiable means of doing finance rather than through your banks and whatnot. And some of them are just memes based on the blockchain technology, like Dogecoin, which is actually being pushed as the people's cryptocurrency by head of Tesla, Elon Musk, the dude who also did SpaceX and a bunch of other stuff. It's from a security standpoint, it's a perfectly valid cryptocurrency, but it was made from a meme about a Shiba Inu dog. So, if that can have value and raise multiple cents in value per coin in a couple weeks, I mean, anything's possible. Dogecoin was worth less than a cent per coin a month ago. Now it's worth 5.7 cents per coin at the time of recording.
Yeah, that's pretty darn good. And, when you have public figures that kind of
endorse it.
that endorse it, and especially someone who is as much of an influencer as Elon Musk is, it's kind of crazy to see some of these cryptocurrencies rise as much as they do. I mean, I know recently, within I think it was the beginning of this month, Tesla decided to buy $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, and they decided to plan to accept it as payment.
Yep.
Instead of just using, the cash we have, they have that as an alternative. But also, on the other hand, I know that Elon Musk is against Bitcoin as well. He feels that it's not a very good form of cryptocurrency compared to some of the ones that are more made for the people, like the ones that can actually be used in normal everyday transactions, as opposed to these large scale transactions. It's just it's a strange enigma.
Yeah, he's been really bullish on Dogecoin because of the value, the current valuation of it being in the sense as the people's cryptocurrency. And he's even stated publicly that he thinks the current public valuation of Ethereum, which is the main, quote, competitor to Bitcoin, if you will, and Bitcoin itself are basically overinflated. And I don't think he's particularly wrong. Bitcoin was sitting in the mid 30,000s per coin just at the beginning of the year. Now it's at over 50 per coin. It's like a lot of analysts are saying Bitcoin's going to crash again, which it did just a few years ago. And in the face of that, Dogecoin, while being a joke, actually seems a bit more stable.
Far more stable.
But the point with Dogecoin and other, quote, altcoins is that they are low enough in valuation per unit that they could actually be used in day-to-day transactions for, everyday people, rather than being an asset like gold. Because Bitcoin's being compared to gold as a basis for something to invest in, or to back a currency with. But I don't know, Elon Musk's whole involvement, I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings as well. I think that's more or less something that, well, all right, guys. What do you think of the guy? On one hand, to me, he has all of these wonderful ideas. He has the wherewithal to get it done. Yet on the other hand, he posts a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't really want to say on social media, and supports some causes that are somewhat controversial. I mean, I know with his business with Tesla, the real limitation on how far they can go with their technologies in their cars is the battery. And he went so far as to, when they were having a lot of political struggles in Bolivia with their lithium mines, Musk was all on board to have the guy overthrown so that they could lessen the restrictions on the mines that were there, because there had been struggles before in the past, in particularly South American countries, that workers were being treated unfairly in mines, not just lithium mines, but any. And it's almost ended up like a slavery kind of situation where they're being paid so very little. And the people that are in these countries are wanting to keep that kind of stuff from happening again. That's why.
And for him to call to end that on one hand while being, quote, for the people on like things like Dogecoin for the people, and like claiming all these things are for the people when he is so clearly against the quote, the people in other nations.
It's for this particular set of people.
Yeah, yes. When it's going against his interests, he's obviously not for the people. The doublespeak, I can't say I'm a fan of it, because at the end of the day, you're showing what your motivations are in plain sight.
Right.
That is true. But this is still, this is still kind of the opinion of one person, but this is also the same person who really made electric cars a cool vehicle to drive. Like, he really kind of got the ball rolling on making electric vehicles something that someone actually really wants to have, instead of just a novelty and not just like, what golf carts use. Right. He actually wanted to make it something that, you can envision yourself driving in the future, and hopefully that kind of progressive technology would continue past just being seen as a novelty or something that is just for a certain set of people that have more resources than another. At least the effort is trying to be made to be an approachable vehicle for all.
The problem with that, all that is, Teslas are like out. Honestly, they price out the average human being. The base models are in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. They're a luxury item. He made them a luxury brand, and I understand that there's a lot of that has to deal with that it's new technology. New technology is always expensive until it is refined and commoditized. I understand that, but it's been 10 years and it's still a luxury vehicle. The fact that there's no consumer models, like actually consumer focused models with smaller ranges for like in town driving, which is the majority of driving is limited range driving in the first place. He hasn't followed through on being for the people at all. And that goes with all of his ventures. SpaceX, that's mostly just to make money sending things to ISS and to fund personal private interest projects. Boring Company ostensibly is for public, with being able to like have highways go underground, but there's so many problems to solve with that, especially in terms of ventilation, as long as we're using internal combustion engines. And his statement is like, well, we're all going to be on electric cars soon. Fair enough, but you're the fully electric cars outside of Tesla are still extremely prohibitively expensive for most folks. The most popular implementation is hybrids like the Prius. We're still 10 years off from it being anywhere near affordable for the average person to afford an electric car. So the Boring project seems like it is self-interested because it's going to rely on people having electric vehicles. Heck, if the ventilation system remains as it's been previously stated, to my understanding, you wouldn't be able to have an internal combustion engine vehicle enter those tunnels. So you'd effectively have exclusive access tunnels and pathways for electric vehicles that are more efficient. Like, he's definitely one of the people who says a lot of stuff on one hand while acting otherwise. And that's the problem I have with Mr. Musk.
Yep. That being said, I know a lot of his projects with the Boring Company have to do with transporting someone's actual private vehicle through some of these tunnels, but a lot of the ones that are actually on the forefront, and one of them that is about to be opened, is the one for the strip for Las Vegas. Those are completely private. No, those are completely public vehicles that are down there. They are not owned by anyone except for the company, and they are to, I believe they're either to rent, much like a public transportation system. So those ones...
Is it like stuff on rails?
Not necessarily. I think the original concept was it was supposed to be on rails. I know the Hyperloop is kind of on that thing, but, with a more like, electromagnetic kind of Gaussian-like thing. But these ones are just on a guided track where you cannot jump the track, but it's not actually on rails. Like, it's just a narrow enough space that the car really can't go.
So it's a Tesla on autopilot functionally.
Exactly, yes, but just on a completely straight track, except for a few little bends. And I'm trying to remember what the speed specs on those were. I believe that they could transport you up to 120 miles per hour, 130 maybe, like that, in these public transportation systems. But it once again,
I don't know how I feel in an automatic car, like a self-driving car, going that fast.
If it was anywhere else other than just a tunnel where you could go nowhere else, I think that I would have problems with it going 130 miles per hour without any sort of control on my behalf. But on a straightaway like that, I'd probably be fine with it. And the test videos I've seen seem like they're, quite frankly, an awful lot of fun.
Fun, yeah, but like, how good are the brakes on these? Should something go wrong?
Electric brakes are actually pretty good when it comes to braking power and efficiency. Well, actually, brakes in electric vehicles can actually be used to continually charge the battery. You have you harvest the rotational force that you're also stopping back into the battery.
Neat.
Yeah. You get power everywhere you can when you can gain some back through just mechanical means.
That's just a lot of trust to put into a vehicle, that there's no person in there. But I guess computers are pretty good.
Yep. I mean, and if this all works out the way it's supposed to, and it's, something that a lot of us have kind of wondered and dreamed about, if this really is the way of the future, there's going to be some point where we have to put our trust into it. What point that is, not exactly sure, but this is as close as we've gotten, and it's gotten here faster than I ever thought it would. And
I will put my trust in a self-driving vehicle when self-driving vehicles make up 95% of vehicles on the road.
I completely agree. When you erase part of the human element from that, but
the human element is the most dangerous part of driving.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
But in a closed system like that, I think it's kind of cool. But I mean, is it like more of a novelty, you think, Kyle, at this point? The project in Las Vegas, or is it like a practical transportation?
Yeah, it's supposed to be completely practical, because most of your transportation that you're going to be using in Las Vegas to get from one side to another is either having to drive it yourself, which there's tons of traffic, or walk it, which I've heard is an absolute chore because of all of the people that are soliciting the hot weather, everything like that. This seems like a decent, cool relief and a quick way to get from one end to the other. In a place where public transportation is and a place where public transportation is a little bit of a shortfall. Like, this seems like the best use of his technology so far with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Then again, like, to answer the question, what do you think of the guy? I think he says a lot of things are for the people, while the things he's building or involved in may be beneficial, I think he's ultimately in it for himself. And that's the end game. He came from money and then got to a point where he could make the money, and his main motivation is profit. I don't think he has the world's best interest in mind. As much as we may benefit in the long run, especially with electric vehicles and the elimination of fossil fuel-based vehicles, cool, great. Doesn't change the fact that at this point, he's shown that greed drives most things for him.
As I do agree
in my opinion.
I do agree with that. However, and I'll leave you with this, I can't doubt, however, that a lot of these ambitious projects are things that are done in such a way to get someone actually excited about the prospect of progressive technology and how realistic these things, how tangible these things are finally becoming, as opposed to being locked away for so long. I mean,
That's
for
fair.
example, at one time, we were putting, solar panels on our houses and such, and there really wasn't a good system for that. Until that part became a lot more accessible. And at one time, Solar City, which is now part of Tesla, they were the largest providers of solar panels and power solutions of that style. Tesla is making, a cool electronic car to drive, and at least in that respect, opens the door for other companies to compete against them, which there's already that kind of stuff going on.
As a quick fact check, I don't think Musk was actually involved much in the founding of Tesla. I think
not in the founding, but later.
I think he was a big part of like getting it to mass market.
Exactly.
And as much as I don't trust the guy personally, I will agree that all of his projects are benefiting humanity, and getting people excited about stuff is extremely important.
Yes.
Getting people excited about the progress of technology, it's so important. I can't stress that enough. But I wish someone else was doing it. Someone who is proven to be more altruistic. Because there's Elon Musk, who everybody likes and is very subversive in his actual, end game. And then there's the opposite of him, which is the Bill Gates, which everybody thought was the bad guy and has done more for philanthropy than anybody else in human history.
I completely agree.
Like, if I had to choose between the two, I would choose a Bill Gates every time. Someone who's actually trying to make people's lives better.
I don't know. I think I'll pick a Dolly Parton if we're going full philanthropist.
That's fair as well.
Yep. Yeah. I'm more, however, focusing purely on the prospect of progressive technologies for the future and actually having a good image, a good
See, he's a good PR.
A good idea.
Rep.
He's a good PR guy.
Yeah.
But, like, on the technology side, like, Gates has funded a bunch of medical research and most recently just drank water out of a machine that is designed to extract water from human fecal matter.
That is insane.
Like, that kind of technology that would be useful in,
Was it
harsh
sterile
conditions.
and did he like the taste?
Dude,
I don't remember. I skimmed the article, if I'm being honest, but... Like, Gates is doing a lot for technologies that is forward-thinking as well. And
yes.
Like, again, if I had to pick between the two, Musk is a good PR guy that has some questionable motivations. Gates is a bad PR guy who everybody thinks is a bad guy to conspiratorial lengths, but is also showing... He's putting his money where his mouth is in terms of actually trying to improve the world.
Yeah, and I do agree with that.
So do you think the technological landscape would be different if we, say, still had Steve Jobs?
Absolutely.
I think
compared
so too.
to Elon Musk?
Absolutely.
I think having...
I would take Jobs
having
any
both
day.
of them. I'd rather take as many visionaries as we could get. And not just have one person's visions for the future.
Yeah, but I think, for sure, like the way I think about it, like Elon Musk is a lot more, like going back to the namesake, he's more like Edison.
I completely agree. It's ironic, is it not?
And Steve Jobs is very much. Yeah. Steve Jobs was very much the same. It was Wozniak that drove all the tech. Mm-hmm. Jobs was a visionary guy who drove projects to get done. He was good at managing projects and having a vision and saying which people can make this happen and putting them in the place to make that happen without being very technically involved. And that kind of person who could drive people to build the things that Apple did under him is better than someone like a Musk who is technically involved, but not as deeply and not as sincerely as Jobs was.
I think he does try to back away and let some other things happen.
That said, like, I would like to see someone else rise to prominence in the championing tech for the future for the people.
Mm-hmm. But in this day and age, he's definitely the one getting the most screen time. In terms of raising, in either having some sort of attention from the press, but whether it be good or bad. But I agree. I don't think it should be. I don't think it will be him forever. I don't think it should be him forever. However, you can't deny the future looks pretty cool still.
Yeah, it does. And he's definitely taken the mantle from... I think he's taken the Jobs mantle.
Yeah.
Like, as far as the visionary... The person that the average Joe or Jane is aware of from the Technoverse. Like, he's someone that the everyday person knows something about... and can say, oh yeah, I like that guy. I like what he's saying and putting out there in terms of technology. I think he is what we have because we don't have Steve Jobs anymore, frankly. I think if Jobs was around, Musk would be a no-name by now, honestly, in terms of like news cycle.
We just need a little more competition in the space market, honestly. Aerospace, there needs to be more competition. I like that there's at least an alternative to just, NASA and the government.
Well, isn't there Virgin?
Virgin dabbled in it. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, but at least for like US based, like space, it's those two.
Yeah, Virgin Galactic, which is Richard Branson. Yeah. They're still out there doing stuff, but you don't hear about them as much because SpaceX is doing like the stuff that can land again, like, and actually go to like the ISS.
Yeah,
I think Virgin is still like just low orbit flight, basically. That's billionaire crap.
Yeah, that's like fancy Concords.
Basically, yeah.
I don't necessarily know why we need to make an admission to be at Mars by 2024. But hey, whatever.
I mean, we got rovers there. let the robots do their work before we put boots on the ground.
That's true. It still is, 3 years away.
Yeah, we may have lost the plot a bit tonight, but it's, like I said, it's been a wild 2 weeks and we're all pretty exhausted. I will have more info on cryptocurrency and blockchain in the show notes because, honestly, I don't think I did a very good job of detailing that. But I hope, at the very least, you understand the basics if you had no understanding of how it worked before.
Follow up from last episode. I did start that spreadsheet of all these streaming service costs, and I only got part of the way down the list before started to hit some rather sketchy pricing
discrepancies.
Words. Not so much discrepancies, because like they had the options for monthly versus annual, but there were some services where it wouldn't give me a price unless I signed up for it.
Oh.
And there were a lot of those. Like, I believe one of the major NFL ones did that, and I was just like, I'm not gonna pay you to figure out how much you want me to pay you.
It may be one of those things where you have to sign up and it's like location based because, like, I know with sports, like, blackout regions are a thing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just...
And, like, what markets you're in is so confusing, like, the pricing on it. Yeah.
It just felt like cable again, where you'd get, like, where they'd offer the price to new customers, but they wouldn't offer it to older customers, so they didn't ever have to be consistent with their pricing. It just seemed really sketchy to me. But even before the first one of those in the list, it was at least $6,000 a month for probably 20 or so of these streaming services. So if you have that much money to drop every month, just think of all the good you can do in the world, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. But that said, if we do end up with a completed spreadsheet, we will post that in show notes for the last episode, and I will probably just, like, every social media channel we have will post that spreadsheet because you're doing a lot of good work to get that done, and I appreciate it. Also, I gotta know. I gotta know.
Yeah.
We gotta know the things.
There were some interesting services that I didn't know existed. Like, there was one for Broadway musicals, so you could just straight up watch Broadway musicals on demand. Like, that was interesting to me.
That's cool.
That one's for me.
Yeah, I still gotta price that one out, but I saw that in the list, was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. There was also one, I think, called Hi-Ya, where it was just Asian kung fu and martial art movies.
Wow.
Heck
like,
yeah.
That was kind of neat little niche. But yeah, it's very expensive to have all of these things.
Yeah. It's like it sounds like if you tried to get every satellite provider available in your region at once at all their max packages, you might be able to match the cost of all the streaming services.
Yeah,
watch anything, anytime, anywhere.
Well, and then the next spreadsheet is figuring how much time you would need to watch everything they put out.
Yeah, I think I'd need a spreadsheet just to figure out how much time I'm wasting to figure out those calculations.
Oh no, when is this going to end?
It never ends.
No, it's too much fun. It's a hobby. You're good. You're not wasting time. It's
Yeah.
This is the chart
Excel
that
sheets are a
never
hobby.
ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends.
Just on a note on the time sync, like, it's what, like, 200, 400 years of content is uploaded to YouTube every single day. Something like that. Like, it's ridiculous how much video content is being produced, like, just by everyday people, let alone professionally and all that. Like, there's literally not enough time to watch everything already.
Just find your favorite stuff. That's all.
Yeah, just TikTok.
Only TikTok videos and Vines if you want to feel sad.
See, I was comfortable with Vines, but I don't understand TikTok, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask like exactly what the deal is.
Yes,
but it's like
just
anything.
Go back to albino black sheep.
Let's go.
On one hand, yeah, but like
Newgrounds.
I feel like every platform is basically you start out with a bubble that's you, and then the people you follow, and the people they follow, and it's like your cable subscription or your streaming service subscriptions. You should choose. You should be selective and selectively engage, because anything beyond what you choose to engage with probably doesn't matter. I think it goes for like the internet as a whole anymore.
And don't forget to live in the real world too.
Absolutely. Jake, you seem disgusted by that notion.
No.
You don't like real world?
No,
yep, and unlike Elon Musk, I do not think we're living in a simulation.
Oh, don't even get started.
We're not Sims?
Not tonight.
I mean, I walk into a room and forget what I'm doing. It's
that's
like
basically his thing.
Action.
That's his theory. It's based on those kinds of instances that we are basically extremely advanced Sims living in a simulation. That's
and I am constantly accidentally deleting my washing machine.
and the ladder from my pool. Gosh darn it.
Oh no, not that ladder. Good thing you can climb over the side now.
Well, at least now I have pecs, so yeah. For swimming.
Alright. Are we done now? Or we got more gas in the tank, guys?
I mean, I have a recommendation. I don't know if you guys have any recommendations.
What kind of recommendations do we have for this week?
All right, I have one that's a YouTube channel. I'm always looking for things to add to my subscriptions, and I came across one called Avery Talks About Stuff. It seems like a little bit of a low-level YouTuber. However, her content is, like, her humor is dry, but very funny. It seems to be centered around television specials, Disney Channel original movies, but like usually older stuff like that.
Ooh.
And kind of having a little bit of a fun sometimes riffing off them or finding the things she likes about them. And it's always it's in a very charming manner, but it's also just really funny. But she has been going on to a series of videos called The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald. Which is
my uncle.
A cartoon version, like a cartoon made for McDonald's by the people who did Rugrats. So like and also including like Classic Supo are the ones who produced these. Supo. And the music was done by the Mother's Balls, which were the ones that are they're the guys that are from Devo who did the music for Rugrats. Like it was a full featured thing. It was released. I think the first one was released in 1998 at McDonald's. You had to buy these at McDonald's, and I think there's 6 of these. And she just did the second one. She did the first one, and she also just went through the second one. And oh my gosh, watching that second one and her commentary on it is like I was laughing pretty hard. So
give me a link to that so I can put that in the recommendation section of the show notes.
So Avery talks about stuff?
Avery talks about stuff. Yeah, I will make sure to put a link in the show notes. It is very funny. Check it out, and she deserves more views than she's getting.
That definitely sounds like a very niche thing that people might be interested in. Like, I will probably check that out. Just as a cliff note, I do need to start putting our recommendations in the show notes. I have been bad about that, so my apologies. I will start putting those in the notes. Show notes can be found at WeMightBeNerds.com. Literally, the only purpose of that site is to host our show notes. We can also be found on social media at MightBeNerdsPod on both Twitter and Facebook. And thank you, as always, for joining us.
You can email us at...
Oh, yeah. Sarah's calling me. Yeah, you can email us at WeMightBeNerdsPod@gmail.com. So, again, thank you, as always, for joining us. And, we hope to talk to you in the next one. I'm Dylan Critchfield.
I'm Kyle Montgomery.
I'm Sarah Critchfield.
And I'm Jacob Montgomery.
Thank you for listening to We Might Be Nerds.
If you like this podcast...
you might be a nerd too.
Yay!
Yay!
We'll see you next time.